Beyond Netero has just revealed his grand plan for the Dark Continent, and this entire time, he's been hiding his children. It could be anyone, Tseradnich, Hulkenberg, even Prince Wobble is sus. But that's not all. The Kakin princes will not be winning the succession war, but Beyond Netero is. Because to survive the Dark Continent, Beyond will need the postmortem Nen power given to you by the Guardian Nen beasts. And if you're wondering how he will get that, since, you know, he isn't even a legitimate prince, well, don't worry. I'll break down the politics of the succession war step by step so we all understand. Essentially, on day 10, everyone who is being trained by Kurapika on Nen is invited to the divination test. Among them is 5th Prince Subeppa's bodyguard Longhi, who reveals promptly that she's already a Nen user and is here for a different purpose. To prove her intentions to Kurapika, she instantly demonstrates her Hatsu, which is called Transparent Words Moonlight Act. It is a contract-based manipulation technique where she can have someone sign a limited term agreement to loan out her ability or respect their action. Kurapika thinks that she's here to cement their Nen contract regarding their alliance with 5th Prince. However, the 5th Prince doesn't even know that Longhi is here making this contract, nor the fact that she can even use Nen. Kurapika, of course, has no time for this BS and whips out his gun, activating dowsing chains to figure out if Longhi is lying or not. She states that she knows his threats are empty and starts explaining the terms of the contract in truth, which is shocking. Longhi is Beyond Netero's daughter.
Wait, no way, boy.
30 years ago, right around the time of the Silent Revolution in Kakin, which we assume to be the date of the last succession war, Beyond Netero started his grand plan to conquer the Dark Continent. First, he talked young officers from Kakin into marriages about their kids who were actually Beyond seeds. He's the one who busted the nuts and impregnated the women they married. Honestly, at this point, we gotta stop calling it the Kakin Empire because it's the Kakin Empire. Come on, guys, laugh. That was a funny joke, right? Anyways, these couples raised Beyond's children and sent them off to royal military academies, where they easily aced everything due to the fact that Beyond awakened their Nen since birth. And it turns out that if an infant's Nen is awakened, they instinctively learn Ten and Zetsu to defend themselves from their aura leaking out. This could be a further hint that humans themselves come from the Dark Continent, with an infant's Nen automatically awakened due to the harsh environment and threats. For example, a baby instinctively knows how to not drown when thrown in water. They will float to the surface to live. However, through Beyond's children acing the academy, it meant that they each would be in super high positions within the empire, close to royalty. Longhi assumed that this was done so in the future, Beyond Netero would have a lot of influence towards the new king of Kakin. Furthermore, the Nen ability Beyond performed on his kids placed a curse within them. Longhi found this out after consulting with another of her half-sister named Makaha, who was supposed to be assigned to the second Prince Camilla. After the seed urn ceremony, they noticed a mark placed within them, leading to consultation with a renowned Nen exorcist who revealed a frightening truth. Longhi and all the children of Beyond have a powerful post-mortem Nen curse that will activate upon their deaths. So remember how Isaac Netero in his youth went to the Dark Continent and his son Beyond is one of the survivors of it that came out alive. However, Isaac never let his son return and banned the permit to visit ever again. So as time went on, Beyond, to fulfill his dream of conquering the Dark Continent and fulfill the very philosophy of being a hunter, he literally hunted his own father by letting him die to marry him. But decades prior, he literally bore children for the sole purpose of using them as sacrifices to sneakily defeat his opponent. There are at least 10 children who are considered strong, including Longhi and Makaha. The main purpose of these children is to mark the princess. So Beyond smashed hella baddies just to make sure he can cover all the princes. This curse is so powerful that not even cutting the body part off or trying to burn it will extinguish it. The curse's power is highlighted even more when Makaha failed to to join Prince Camilla's bodyguards due to her choosing the Untouchables to be her guards instead, and during this, Beyond didn't make any move. Even her fanatical parents were okay with it. This implies that when the child is born, Beyond Netero makes a connection between them and a prince while activating their nen. So they could be halfway across the world, but if they die, the prince dies too. The evidence for this comes from the picture Togashi uses as a metaphor for the curse. These are Japanese straw dolls stuck to a tree in a ritual known as Ushi no Tokimairi, whereby using the victim's hair, you link the doll to them, resulting in a voodoo connection. So everyone, even the bodyguards, are focused on protecting the princes. It's much easier to target non-princes who will result in their death anyway. However, if all the princes die during the succession ritual, what will Beyond even achieve? Well, this is when we learn of another bombshell from Longhi. One of the princes is Beyond's child, meaning Beyond is fighting in the succession war for the sake of one prince. And if you're wondering how can Beyond's seed even participate, well, we were told clearly in chapter 348 that the children of the legitimate wives of King Huigiro are eligible, not the direct descendants of the king, because if that was the case, then Morena would also be in the succession war. So which prince is Beyond's child? Well, I will now go through all 14 of them and cross out the ones that are impossible to be and who it actually is according to me. We know from Longhi that it can't be first Prince Benjamin, even though he's the most entrenched within the elites of the military or the empire and has a pretty good proficiency with nen. With the amount of control Benjamin has over the military, all Beyond needs to do is give his boy a little hint and the game is over. But if that's the case, then why has it already been 10 days with Prince Benjamin opting to target the princes themselves rather than their bodyguard, which would be a much easier task? Also, I'm going to be honest, the first prince looks nothing like Beyond, nor does he have the brain and cunningness to be of Netero lineage. So the next likely candidate might be the second Prince Camilla, who has a similar ideology as Beyond or Isaac Netero, where she sees herself as the most deserving human, seeking a goal higher than herself in conquering Kakin. Furthermore, she had the cunningness to create her own militia of the Untouchables, which themselves have been given a nen curse that can kill other princes. However, isn't as strong, as it requires a period of 6 months to form a link, and the subject must alter for themselves, which kills the prince. Yet, I don't think Camilla is a suitable candidate, because currently, due to her guardian nen beast's power, it's almost impossible to kill her, because whoever does the deed instead gets their life sucked out of them, resulting in Camilla's own resurrection. But with Beyond's curse, Makaha would already be dead, so whom does the nen beast borrow the life energy from? There is no host, resulting in Camilla's demise. This might be the card Togashi will play for the second prince's death. Before I get to the other princes though, let me just make it clear that I don't think any of the princes who have died so far are Beyond's children, because he would have had countermeasures to let them survive. So 8th Prince Salisale, 12th Prince Momose, 10th Prince Kacho are all out of the question. 11th Prince Fugetsu is also not Beyond's daughter, because it was literally a coin flip between Kacho and her survival when they left the Black Whale 1. Or perhaps we've already seen Beyond's curse in action during that moment, because what if the guard that game ended himself to make sure the 10th and 11th princes weren't blamed for their escape attempt was actually one of Beyond's sons, and his death activated the curse within Prince Fugetsu, who last time we saw her looked like she had been cursed and at death's door. Anyways, moving to the 3rd prince. He is kind of out of the question for me because of this panel from 390, where he called the mafia boss Oinor father. Also, this man looks nothing like Beyond, alright? That'll be a theme with a lot of these princes. They look nothing like Beyond or Netero. The 5th prince can also be ruled out because of Longhi being his bodyguard. We know from her and Makaha that they have done extensive research to figure out their own heritage, and having close proximity to the 5th prince, Longhi would have had numerous chances to make sure she is Beyond's child or not. Yet, she's asking for Kurapika's help in finding out the real identity. 6th Prince Tyson is another strong contender for the succession war, simply due to her nen beast, which can make anyone love her if you happen to possess the Book of Tyson. She wants to change the world through love and doesn't showcase any of the humanistic conqueror style attributes which her father Beyond and Isaac portray. Also, she's way too short to be Beyond's daughter, right? She looks like a thumb, just like King Nasubi. And Netero and Beyond, they don't look like thumbs. They look like chads. Moving on, I'm going to rule out 7th Prince Luzerus because of his mafia connection where, similar to the 3rd, it's very likely that he's the son of Broccoli, the head of the Char family. 9th Prince Hulkenberg, however, would be an excellent choice narratively to be Beyond's son, because he genuinely cares about humanity and the ones less fortunate than him. He isn't selfish like Beyond or Isaac, who was willing to let the Ant King dominate the world just so he could have his battle. Hulkenberg cares about the Kakin Empire and wants the succession war to end before more blood is shed, which would be a juxtaposition to Beyond, who will shed as much blood as possible for his selfish goals of conquering the Dark Continent. Even bringing humanity to this forsaken land for the sake of progress will cause countless deaths, a genocide basically, if things don't go right. Why take such a big risk without even informing the masses of this giant death trap? Even Hulkenberg's Nen awakening is beyond busted, being able to go toe-to-toe against experienced Nen masters right off the bat, which is something we expect from a child sharing genes with two of the strongest humans we've ever seen. 13th Prince Mariam also has a chance to be Beyond's son, especially since for some reason his mother cared more about him than his older sister Momose, whom you would think, due to her age, would make for a better bet to win the succession war. Furthermore, his Nen stamina seems higher than many of the other princes, with his barrier ability in Suite 1013 activated for his long, which is very odd considering his sister died due to her fatigue and overexertion of Nen, resulting in her guardian Nen beast turning off. So what if they had different fathers and Mariam can do this because he had the genes from the Netero lineage? It could explain this oddity. Before I move on to the 14th Prince Wobble though, you might have noticed that I haven't really talked about the 4th Prince Tseradnich yet, and that's because I believe him to have the best claim to the Netero lineage, as he bears a striking resemblance to a young Isaac Netero. Heck, we even have an account of Tseradnich in school locking himself in a room practicing the same weapons training over and over again until he broke his academy speed record without eating or sleeping. This is a direct parallel to his grandpa Isaac Netero, who did his punch pray training for 2 years. Not only that, but out of all the princes we have seen, he's the most cunning and the strongest Nen user. Let me put this man's power into perspective. You know how Wing said Gon and Killua are 1 in 10 million because they became Nen masters within a few months? Well, this man already has his own Hatsu within 72 hours of starting Nen training, putting him on a tier we can only assume characters like Jing or Pariston to be in. For example, if we go back to chapter 385, Tseradnich has been trying out different weapons and ways to utilize his Nen, while a dark aura forms behind him with another Nen beast separate from his OG guardian spirit, forms through just instinct, as he dubs it his alter ego. Imagine this dude once he masters Hatsu, it's GG. He'll become unstoppable, because when he turns his aura off and goes into a complete state of concentration, Theta uses this moment to create a small aura bullet and fires it straight at his head. To her surprise, bro is in Sigma mode and doesn't even budge. The prince is dead in Theta's eyes, but as the guards rush into the room, he materializes behind her. Tseradnich's Nen ability activates when he enters full Zetsu. In this state, as long as his eyes are closed, he can see 10 seconds into the future while his body relives those 10 seconds. That's how he managed to survive Theta's bullet. Once he masters full Zetsu control to only take him mere seconds to activate his ability, not even Beyond can stop him. Literally going beyond Netero. That is the caliber of fighter I expect the son of Beyond to be in. Furthermore, the fact of how quickly 4th Prince is learning Nen might be another hint by Togashi regarding him being Beyond's son, because we learn from Longhi that Beyond has awakened Nen for every one of his kids, and when an infant is awakened, they instinctively learn to control their aura. So the reason Tseradnich seems so good at Zetsu and 10 already is because annoyingly, he has been using it all his life. That's how that instinctive Nen beast even formed. In Hunter x Hunter, Tseradnich's ability is heavily influenced by Buddhist concepts, just like his grandpa Isaac. The process by which Tseradnich even activates his Hatsu involves intense concentration and mental discipline, which mirrors Buddhist meditation practices aimed at achieving higher states of consciousness and awareness. This man literally escapes the Matrix and goes into a future dimension 10 seconds ahead. The ability to look into the future could symbolize a form of heightened awareness or omniscience, which in Buddhism is associated with deep meditation practices like Vipassana, which is kinda like Zetsu, which aims to see the true nature of reality beyond ordinary perception, just like his real-life father trying to reach the Dark Continent, the real world in Hunter x Hunter. But the next question is, why has Beyond even hatched this plan to have one of his sons participate in the Succession War? And it is all to conquer the Dark Continent. Just like how Isaac Netero gave birth to Beyond so one day his son could give him a challenge, Beyond has taken notes from his father's playbook and created a monster in 4th Prince Tseradnich to defeat and survive in the Dark Continent, which has been his life goal. The reason it has to be Tseradnich is because he is the legitimate prince who, after winning the Succession War, will have control over the Seed Urn's postmortem Nen. Let's be real, out of all the princes, he has the highest chance. We know from when Hulkenberg attacked King Nasubi that his own Nen beast is still active, as it protected him from the bullet. And by the king literally telling Hulkenberg that he can change literally everything in the Kakin Empire if he wins the Succession War, it means the winner will have absolute control over the ancient Nen, which is so strong that it can literally create new copies of beings out of thin air, as we see with Prince Kacho, or Tseradnich's own Nen beast, which doesn't allow you to lie in front of him. The powers the Seed Urn bestows has been strengthened by all the princes who died in the Succession War, and is some of the strongest Nen humanity has ever gathered. And Beyond wants to use this power for the Dark Continent to establish a nation there. Furthermore, King Nasubi says that the first king created the Seed Urn to make certain the survival of Kakin, making it one of the strongest nations in the world. However, since Kakin is being moved to the Dark Continent, the Seed Urn must bestow unimaginable power just to sustain the nation in this harsh environment, making Beyond's dream of humanity thriving in the Dark Continent a reality. But Togashi does something even more sneaky at the end of the chapter. We see Beyond Netero asking for paper and pen so he can write his novel, and right after wishes to meet someone. Now, needing a paper and pen to write a contract is also the ability of Longhi, his daughter. Could this be a hint that Beyond Netero's Hatsu allows him to wield the powers of his offsprings if certain requirements are met? Because the timing of Beyond making his first move happens just moments after Longhi and Kurapika's Nen contract signing is over. They start their meeting at 11:45 a.m., which goes on for quite a long time as many of the guards get suspicious. And at 2 p.m., Beyond asks to meet someone. The evidence for Beyond likely having the power to control his children's abilities can once again be seen through Togashi choosing those straw dolls to depict their curses, from which the user will have complete control over the bodies of the victim. So what if Beyond's true plan is to have his child win the Succession War and gain the power of the Seed Urn, only for the big man to take hold of this power and venture to the Dark Continent while his child is left back at the fake continent defenseless? Finally, let's talk about Prince Wobble, whose chances of being related to Beyond are also decent, especially considering the odd nature of Queen Oito, a nobody peasant being legitimized because King Nasubi was so smitten by her. However, he has zero care for his wives, letting them all be part of this death game with no protection, especially Queen Oito. This all seems like propaganda or an excuse to have Beyond's son participate. So what if 30 years ago, Beyond Netero helped King Nasubi win the Succession War using his expert Nen ability? Here, they made a deal that during the next Succession War, one of Netero's children will be able to participate. So just as the time for the Black Whale 1's completion was imminent, Wobble was born and had his Nen awakened. Because remember that weird panel from chapter 358, the first time Kurapika encounters Wobble at the ship? The kid was emitting an aura, but Kurapika just thinks of it as nothing. That might have been a hint towards Wobble already being awakened, and the person Beyond wants to see is Queen Oito. However, there's a problem with Wobble Netero, as to have Wobble, Beyond would have to impregnate Queen Oito, and as far as we can tell, she has been nothing but truthful to Kurapika, who can know if she's lying about Wobble's true origins through the chains. So why hadn't she revealed this key info? Lastly, there's one more possibility. None of the princes are Beyond's kids. All of the info we learn in this chapter are all Longhi's assumptions due to her quote-unquote research. So what if she has been clouded by frustrations towards her father's heinous acts and wants something to enact revenge towards. Instead, this whole time, it is the king and Beyond who started the Dark Continent expedition to begin with. They have been buddies the longest, so why damage this relationship? Which would be beneficial to Kakin, as the riches found at the Dark Continent would instantly propel the Empire to be the strongest in human history. The biggest hint towards this sentiment comes from there being 14 graves, which we assume the 14th grave to be King Nasubi's. But what if all the 14 kids die to fatten up the seed urn, with the post-Martin Nen even more bringing more strength and glory to the king? Because as we all know, the ones in power will never let go of it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. We'll be doing weekly Hunter x Hunter chapter reviews and videos. It's Hunter x Hunter season. Peak Fiction is back. Togashi cooked. Oh my god, this chapter was so peak. That 20 chapters of the whole mafia family bullshit, introducing like 50 different bodyguards that I couldn't even keep track of. All of it was for the purpose that anyone could be Beyond's children, man. This is peak fiction. Anyway, watch this other banger video where I explain the entire story of the Succession War in like an hour. So go watch that.